The winner would take the SheBelieves Cup home. Welcome to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 1,000 miles of where this week-long three-match day trek began in Philadelphia. It's the beautiful state of Florida where the temperatures are just below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. There's no chance of rain in the forecast. And for Japan and England, the winner would win the cup. If it's a tie, Japan would still be in position given the standings in SheBelieves Cup, but would need the U.S. to falter. And even if they won, the U.S. would need a multi-goal margin to see themselves through. Hello, everybody. Mike Watts with you. What makes this most interesting is the fact that in about 100 days, these two teams are going to meet again with far greater stakes. Group D in the Women's World Cup in France will be the fourth consecutive World Cup in which these two national teams have met. And as you look inside the tunnel, both England and Japan have known each other on the field just 5 times, but 4 have come in World Cup competition, which raises the stakes just a little bit higher. Japan missing 4 players due to flu-like symptoms, and so they're a little bit below 100%, and it's a very young team. For England, Lionesses on the prowl. This could be the moment in which they establish themselves as a world power in the women's soccer stratosphere, and certainly their results against Brazil, 2-1 in Philadelphia, and their 2-2 draw in which they climbed back not once but twice against the United States in Nashville has given them some belief that they're going to be able to come here and win that trophy. Brazil and the United States to follow, but for now, it's Japan and England, 2 top 10 teams in the world, with a winner carrying home the SheBelieves Cup. Something magnificent about the pageantry of international soccer. SheBelieves Cup, one of the last major tournaments in the calendar before things turn their way to the 2019 World Cup in France. For Japan, this was supposed to be a rebuild, a focus on the upcoming 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, but they have a chance to win this tournament outright. A draw could be enough, but a win would seal it. For England, fourth in the world, and hoping that they are the queens of world soccer come the end of July. Mike Watts with the commentary from Tampa, Florida. And both these teams have varying degrees of experience entering this competition. The SheBelieves Cup third match day is given about half the lineup for Japan, their first cap over these first two match days. 6 players combining for just 1 cap in totality, while the remaining 5 have 185 to their credit entering the competition. The referee is Christina Uncle, and Phil Neville is in his second year at the helm of the English national team. And, well, certainly he has proved many naysayers wrong. It was at this tournament a year ago that he made his debut as the manager of the English women's national team. Meanwhile, a coach who needs no introduction in world soccer, as Asako Takakura has taken over in 2016, 5 times the AFC Coach of the Year in Asia, and a veteran of 79 caps for the Japanese national team is hoping she can lead this side to World Cup glory in her first World Cup cycle. For the English, they'll trot out a 4-5-1 essentially. Jodie Taylor, well known in American circles for her play in the National Women's Soccer League, has played just 2 minutes in the tournament, but will feature as the striker, while Carney, Christensen, Staniforth, Mead, and Walsh dropping in as the holding midfielder. And, of course, Lucy Bronze is the focal point of this phenomenal back line for England at right back. There you see Sugita, who had just 1 cap entering the tournament, plays in central midfield in a 4-4-2 for Japan. Japan in the blue, and it's the red and white of England. Underway from Tampa, Florida, and Raymond James Stadium. A winner would crown themselves as the winners of the 2019 SheBelieves Cup. Here's Lucy Bronze, 63 caps entering the tournament, and has established herself as perhaps the best right fullback on the planet. Williamson, Greenwood. Taylor pushing. Yamane's first touch. Sakaguchi. And a throw for the English. Walsh into space. Shimizu. Stepping forward, Williamson. Shimizu. Sliding in, Matsubara was there to deflect it, but the challenge resulting in a Japanese foul. There's Houghton. Bronze. England considers this ideal preparation for what's to come in the group stage of the World Cup in about 90 days' time. Pushed ahead, Christensen and Taylor in pursuit, pushing off the back of Olga. Houghton turned over looking for Staniforth and sweeps this away from the Japanese striking tandem of Endo and Aikijiri. Houghton for Staniforth. Recovered by Sugita. Matsubara. And now Miname. Served by Sakaguchi. And Williamson clears. Got by Sakaguchi. Now Jody Taylor. Well, England over their last 7 games on the road, 6 wins, 1 draw. That draw coming against the United States, 21-4 goal differential. And it's a team playing with supreme confidence, one that's very happy to play with the ball at their feet. Last year, the focal point of this tournament, regardless of mistakes that are made, foul Japan. A win-loss draw wasn't the focus. It was rather going from Mark Sampson's more direct style to Phil Neville's more possession-based style of play. It is a free kick here for the English. Greenwood will play it over the top. Christensen. Walsh. Flag is up. This is offside. Houghton, who scored on an indirect free kick. The last leg of this 3-stop tour of the United States. Just marginally offsides. That Japanese back line step forward in unison. Eight changes to this English lineup. On the one that took the field in Nashville. And 2-2 draw against the United States. 6 changes for Japan. Notably, they're without Emi Nakajima. Now with flu-like symptoms. Pushed out by Carney. Houghton recovers for England and will strike this towards goal and handled easily by Yamane. Houghton's goal, the 12th of her illustrious career, and Yamane holding on all the way to the end, and Carney will see the goal kick back to Japan. That's nerve-wracking stuff, and it goes exactly to what Asako Takakura had talked about. Had not gone well in what finished as a 3-1 win against Brazil. 2 of those goals coming in the last 10 minutes in Nashville. The goal in the 87th minute right now being the difference maker in a potential draw scenario. Could swing goal differential in their favor for the tournament championship. But Takakura is saying the build-up, well, they can do better at it. Struggling a bit at the moment. Foul by Beth Mead, whose wonder goal in Philadelphia picked up plenty of international coverage.
You're good there, Therese.
Honga and Minami both came in uncapped players, starting together center back in a 4-back system for Japan. Comes as some measure of surprise, although their hand forced due to an illness and spread a bit around the team. Build up coming through Sugita. Sugita now, who debuted in Tournament of Nations against Australia at the latter stages of 2018. Sakaguchi. Matsubara. Sakaguchi on the overlap. Recovered by Carney. Taylor hold up play for a moment. Let's take over. Christensen's pass leaving something to be desired. Japan 3 into the attack. And the attempt to cross the face of the 18-yard box by Hasegawa is deflected, recovered by the English. Williamson. Carney. On the dribble, trying to fight by Matsubara. Eventually took over with the help of Shimizu. Sugita. Honga, there is room opening up on the left touchline. Heels all the way on the chalk out there. Dangerous ball. Minami able to slide in for Japan. Sakaguchi, and now stepping by Endo. Ball struck through by Sugita. 10 minutes gone, scoreless in what in Floridian terms is frigid. For most of the rest of the world, you would consider chill in the air at worst, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Houghton shipping forward. And a nice ball. Cross to Taylor. Taylor on the turn, made the room, left-footed shot is wide. Yamane stretching just as far as she could. This is wide of the post. 17 goals in Jodie Taylor's international career. And this is her at her absolute best, creating the space for herself in tight quarters, trying to back down a young defender in Minami. Former bronze ball winner at the U20 World Cup in 2018. And against that contact, just nearly off frame. Not a bad start for Jodie Taylor. You think back to last year, and she talked about how important the game was against France. Nice ball, Staniforth. Staniforth scores for England. Her second international goal is a massive one if England is to win the SheBelieves Cup. And Jodie Taylor starting it all. Japan right off the goal kick, seeded it to Greenwood. And Jodie Taylor swinging that by Minami. And with the center backs pulled apart, a nice finish by Staniforth, who's been lauded as one of the best young players in Europe. And a fingertip, not nearly enough from Yamane. And Phil Neville's side lead against Japan. Minute goal. Her other goal against a less prestigious side, Kazakhstan, in a World Cup qualifier in August. And the 26-year-old worked her way through the youth national team, going back well over a decade, nearly a decade and a half. As England here supporting a 1-0 lead. England trailed against both Brazil and the United States, and Phil Neville over the last few days speaking to the unbelievable response of his side. And if the English national team's run at the World Cup in Russia is any idea, it's a country that certainly can come around and support their national team. Certainly was the case in 2015 at the World Cup. English side that fell in the semifinal to Japan in maybe the most crushing way possible. The infamous Laura Bassett own goal. Of course, Bassett playing a massive role in getting them to that stage. There is no World Cup semifinal without her. Recovered by Greenwood. Staniforth will run all the way to Yamane. Yamane, the only capped goalkeeper for Japan on this trip. Even she hadn't been around over these last couple of years. It's her 26th international cap. The whole crowd oohing as Jodie Taylor and Beth Mead colliding with Risako Oga. There's Christina Uncle, the American referee for this affair. Well known in the NWSL circles, no doubt about that. Has refereed some very big matches, including in SheBelieves Cup and Tournament of Nations in years past. It's a tournament that began in the purest of intentions 4 years ago. 2015 SheBelieves was a hashtag leading into the U.S. run to the World Cup. Bouncing ball, squared away. Christensen, not nearly far enough. Kajiri pursued. But the SheBelieves moniker, meaning a call to action for young women to set high goals and work to be the best in their field, regardless of what field that is. So 2016, in came the SheBelieves Cup, bringing together 4 of the top 10 teams on the planet each of the last 4 years. Shimizu. On the turn, Ikejiri dragging her run along, avoids Staniforth. Sakaguchi can serve a good ball. Takes the overlap. Shimizu stayed onside. Sakaguchi serving too high. And Bronze, the presence, get that out of harm's way. Bit of trouble here. Walsh will play it away. And Bronze, and a whistle, and a Japanese foul. Bronze went tumbling. Bronze is an interesting situation. If you have the best right back in the world, in many coaches' eyes, and you want her to get a better opportunity to touch the ball more often and make a more significant impact on the larger game, do you consider moving her to midfield? That's Phil Neville's ongoing conversation. They have toyed around with it a little bit in this tournament. Answer at the present moment with a cup on the line to insert her back to that right outside back position. Samishima. Samishima. To combine, once a Boston Breaker in 2011. Brief stint of about 6 games in the United States. Lost by Endo. Off Sakaguchi. It's Williamson. And now Carly Telford, who's named to this stage of the game, nearly 20 minutes in, has been irrelevant. Rare, if any, touches. Hasn't been tested. Staniforth's goal in the 12th minute, the difference. As it stands now, England would win SheBelieves Cup. Japan were to level things. To put it very simply, chaos could be produced with a 2-0 American result in the late game, in which you could result in the FIFA World Rankings deciding who wins the tournament. That's a long way away. As the final, the 5 tiebreakers. Minami. And the ball slipped through. Flag is up. This is offside. Jody Taylor. If Jody Taylor didn't lead the NWSL in offsides, she was pretty close. And in this case, she plays so well on the back shoulder of defenders that to be a foot off is a really slim margin. Now is Seattle Reign. Taylor. Long, a youth national team captain, can play center back, in this case at left back. Carney approaching the byline and caught easily by Yamane. Feet of Yamane. Away from Samishima, who herself has more caps than the rest of the team combined. Is on the field today for Japan. Crossing the 100 mark last year. Serve is across, Carney! puts it in. England's lead is 2. Straight off the throw. And Jody Taylor's passing has unlocked Japan for a second time. A lofted curled ball that gets just over the top of Moeka Minami. And Carney snaps down the header. And no question, Yamane had no chance. 2-0 to England. Carney's 32nd goal. And Carney has not scored a lot of goals for England over the last 3 years. Does have what amounts to an insurance goal at this present moment. Away to Telford. Sako Takakura can't be happy at this present moment. And you look at the roster that they brought, and this really was a testing ground for them. They feel like their pool of national team players is about 50, which gives you a lot of different options moving forward. However, at the present moment, looking forward to the 2019 World Cup in France, that's a lot of cutting that you have to do to get down to the roster you actually want to bring. Carney cuts that out. Takakura saying that about half of this Japanese roster is decided in her eye. Could leave 11, 12 spots. Other players to do well in this tournament maybe get called into the next camp and make their way through. Japan trying to get back on the comeback trail. Ball headed down by Endo. For Shimizu. In the end, Japan's roster featuring 7 uncapped players, just 4 that played in the World Cup final back in 2015. And 12 players, 23 or younger. This has slipped ahead. The English have a simple solution to that problem. Sakaguchi. Stabbed out by Carney, who had not scored for the English national team since 2016. Scored 6 in Euro qualifying. Hasn't had nearly as many caps since that time either. Back on the score sheet now nonetheless. The English have jumped out to a 2-goal lead before the half-hour mark. Sugita. Left off bit of skill. Sakaguchi couldn't get there. Now Hasegawa. This is down to Endo. Sugita. Allowed through by Sakaguchi and deflected clear, if only for a moment. And this is struck with the bounce. Sakaguchi taking the final effort, and Telford has her first save of the game. That build-up over the course of the last 90 seconds drew 3 or 4 different oohs from this crowd. But the final product, not too complicated. Stepping by and blasting upfield, Walsh, and the ball finds its way through. Mead arriving. Mead as the trailing runner, but will take the shot herself and score for England. In Philadelphia about 7 days ago, she lofted a shot. This time she sends a rocket just inside the post with all kinds of patience. It snuck in behind. Not nearly good enough from the outside back, Samishima, to slow that down. Waiting for the run, driving her way in, and look at how she calmly looks back. There's a trailing run that came, and hammers it home inside the post. And England lead 3-0. And the English right now are making a very loud and abrupt statement. Everybody not only watching this tournament, but surely around the world, they are a contender on the international stage when this tournament, the World Cup, begins in June. This has been a master class by England, primarily in finishing, but say that they've built up well. Jodie Taylor has been a real force, and they've taken advantage of a very young, inexperienced Japanese back line that almost assuredly will look drastically different during the second week of June when group stage is underway. Mentioned before, 5 previous meetings between the English and the Japanese. 3 have come in the World Cup, with their next meeting, the 3rd game of their group stage. And Asako Takakura saying that she was very hopeful that by that point their position in the round of 16 would already be secured. There's 6 groups, 24 teams. Top 2 in each group automatically secure their way through. So when these teams meet in Group D, there is a chance both have already secured their place in the round of 16. But Argentina, who are struggling greatly with the FFA Cup of Nations right now, and Scotland, who have split their 2 games in the Algarve Cup during this current international window, present the other 2 of the 4 And clearly, England and Japan are the favorites to get through, but Scotland qualifying for the World Cup in a new level of play. Will they be able to make a run out of that group stage? Then not only do those top 12 teams get through, but 4 more finish third. Hasegawa was stood up inside the 18-yard box. Brazil's in Group C. They have to worry about Australia primarily. Jamaica's in there too. The United States drawn with Sweden, Chile, and Thailand in Group F. United States and Brazil playing the second of this SheBelieves Cup doubleheader. As of now, that game will not hold any significance to who will actually carry the cup at the end of the night. June Endo crashing into Greenwood. Using her forearm to ward off the on-rushing defender. As it stands now, England, with their 3-goal lead, would win SheBelieves Cup. 2 wins and a draw in the tournament. If Japan scores 3, it would take the United States scoring 5. Give the United States the tournament win. England has certainly put themselves in a really nice position. Greenwood. Bronze. Really nice run for the English. Ball in behind, away from Taylor. And it is a foul against the English as the late run from Izzy Christensen results in a really painful looking crash. Bronze doing a great job slipping in behind, and that was allowed through by Taylor, who would have had to stop her momentum entirely to try and score. And Christensen sliding into the back of Shimizu. And while the foul is against Christensen, it's a case of insult added to injury. And Phil Neville have to consider whether or not Christensen's SheBelieves Cup is over. The athletic training staff takes a look, and it just looks like her leg gets caught there in a way that's really unnatural. Left Manchester City, go to Lyon in France in 2018. One of a very few players on either team that's playing outside their native country for their club ball at the present moment. The English don't have anybody up and about at the present moment. The coaching continues. It's one thing to win this trophy, but a 4-year-old tournament being played in the United States isn't the ultimate goal of 2019, and so both coaches have made it abundantly clear that their focus is on improving these teams. And Christensen make her way off slowly. One of the new rules regarding substitutes, which isn't necessarily relevant at this present moment given the injury, is that you have to leave to the nearest boundary. Something that is the case in SheBelieves Cup, although it's not in play in many competitions at the present moment. will be for the World Cup, and Christensen continuing to have that leg examined. Former PFA Player of the Year. Did make the squad in 2015 for the World Cup. Stanway standing up and making her move toward the fourth official, so Christensen will hobble off. Do hope she's able to make her way back in. These final friendlies in the lead up to the World Cup. Under Shimizu. There's a lot of emotion here. And one just has to have their heart go out to Izzy Christensen at this present moment. She's done. On comes Georgia Stanway. Comes to Walsh. Staniforth overtaking her mark. Deflected back by Risaka Oga. Ikejiri. That is not the area of the field she'd like to receive the ball in. 30, 40 yards away from her own end line. Inami. The left-hand wing, Samashima, a nice look down the middle of the field. Stanway interrupting the build-up. Field's in fantastic condition. Ball knocked over the top. Taylor's going to get there first. Taylor trying to cut that back across the green. It's away from Yamane. How about Stanway making her impact felt in the middle of the field? And Jody Taylor has had a really good first half. She'll have 2 assists to her name, but just massive in orchestrating those 2 goals. And then the third individual brilliance by Beth Mead, who scored her 4th international goal and her 2nd of the tournament. Sabara's pass is intercepted and reversed toward Williamson. Japan's press flying a little closer to the English 18-yard box. Here comes Bronze. Japan sprinting back into defensive position. Bronze. It was 80 degrees and humid yesterday. Temperatures have dropped into the 50s for tonight's matches. This ball struck on a line and deflects away. It was Matsubara. And a goal kick for the only player on the English squad in 2015 that didn't play a minute in the World Cup. the difficult life of the backup goalkeeper. It's a long run. Oga away from Mead. Houghton. Shimizu. Sakaguchi couldn't maintain possession. Endo forward. And 2 sliding challenges by England. Get the ball into a position that eventually results in a foul by Jun Endo. Endo's first week of international duty. Driving in Kira Walsh. Houghton, captain of this side for half a decade now. And at the age of 30, still has potentially another World Cup cycle in her. That surprised nobody. Veteran of over 100 caps. Most recognizable players in the English game. Enemy. Telford. Sweep this into the area, pick it up. Two-minute stoppage time separate us from the end of the first half. If you tuned in late, you have missed England taking a stranglehold on this competition. This result would secure the SheBelieves Cup in their favor. And they get 3 goals from players that started as reserves in the game in Nashville 3-4 days ago. Staniforth, Mead, and Carney have all scored. Which, if you are an English fan and are surprised by any of the 3, no one would quite blame you. Taylor has been instrumental in 2 of those goals. Carney hadn't scored in 3 years for the team, about 2.5. Mead and Staniforth are newer players in the equation for the English national team. Referee allows play to continue, and maybe England is a little bit stretched here. Can Japan get one back before halftime? Sugita making a run forward. This is Sakaguchi. In out of room. Greenwood bottling her up. Shimizu. And laid ahead. Sugita.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Christina Uncle whistles for halftime. Well, the 3 Lions have 3 goals. All of them beautiful in their own unique way. A 3-0 lead for England would be enough to carry the SheBelieves Cup back across the pond tomorrow morning. But they've got a lot of work left to do. Japan was the leading scorer in this tournament entering the match day. They're going to need 3 goals there to give themselves any chance of winning She Believes Cup. Goals in the opening half for England by Carney, Mead, and Staniforth. And the fourth-ranked team in the world has a dominating 45 minutes in tow as they head to the dressing room. It's England 3, Japan 0.
Soccer is an equal opportunity teacher. It welcomes everyone and asks only that you love the game. This year, let's make soccer all about accessibility and inclusion for women, whether they're players, coaches, fans, or officials. One team, undefeatable, one goal. Volkswagen, presented partner by Soccer.